Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Springfield Talks. And today's episode is very special because we have an excellent guest with us here in the office today. We have Jeremy Denisty. How are you doing?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, Jeremy. And before we get started, let me give all our viewers a little bit of an introduction about who Jeremy is. Jeremy Denisty is the co-founder and managing partner of Imagine Studios. He brings a lot of knowledge about AI and Web 3.0. He is a distinguished author who has written The Virtual Economy, a guide for leaders to thrive in the third age of the internet. So today we're going to be discussing a lot about Web 3.0, artificial intelligence, and actually going to debunk a few myths about the new technologies that are coming on. And people are kind of scared about all of this stuff happening, but we're going to have an excellent episode today. Let's start off, Jeremy.
Sure, let's do it.
So before we get started and dive into Web 3.0 and artificial intelligence, tell us a little bit more about Imagine Studio and your journey to Dubai.
Yeah, so I've been in Dubai for 4 years, so I'm quite young and new in this region. We still arrived before COVID, though. I mean, a lot of people came during or after COVID, right? So we arrived before, actually we arrived at the beginning of COVID with my wife. She transferred here first and she was like, wow, this place is wonderful. We should move here, which we did. So, and we've been having a lovely time since then. Our son was born here. So, I mean, it's like,
how old is he?
2 years old now. 2 years old.
That's a little bit younger than my son. My son's about to turn 3.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
So
we're
in that, COVID babies indeed, in the nice period, right? We're having a lot of fun. So and we're starting to sleep and having fun. So that's
there wasn't much to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we got here, and when I arrived here, I met with the founder, the original founder of the consulting company.
All right.
We had dinner, and at the end of the dinner, he offered me a job, and I joined the firm as a consultant. Okay. And then it happened in a few months. I rose to lead the regional office.
Wow.
And after a couple of years, I thought we're into digital transformation, but I want to get more into digital innovation. I'm super passionate about technologies, new tech in general. NFTs were the talk of the town, crypto, everything, all of those, the hype waves that we went through.
The hype, that's right.
Exactly. So I was like, we need to do something about this. We need to be more focused on this to advise our clients, public and private sector, into what, first of all, understanding it, and second of all, what do we do about it? So we created Imagine Studio, which was at first a vertical of that consulting firm that was called Scopernia. Right. And that vertical grew and became bigger and bigger, and that is actually now the center of our business. So that's how Imagine Studio was born. So
wow. Interesting journey to Dubai, huh?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of people moving into Dubai over the last few years, ever since the entire population rise and increase. But for today, let's stick to our topic of discussion. And to begin with, for a layman, I need to understand Web 3.0 because what is it? What is Web 3.0? Yeah. Can you give our viewers a quick understanding about this?
Yeah, sure. So it's what we call the third age of the internet. So if we say the third, we need to go back to the first and the second one, right? So the first one was the arrival of the internet in the 90s. The 56K modem. I don't know if you remember. They made that noise. Exactly it.
I don't know why those noises.
They stick with us, right? I mean, they just stick with us, and it was fantastic. I mean, it's the 90s. It's not that long ago. It's less than 30 years ago, and I still remember we had to choose between making a phone call and going on the internet. Like my mom was yelling at me, "Get off the internet! I need to make a phone call to your aunt." I mean, that's exactly.
My sister and I would share a chair, and we would share one TV. One screen, and one computer, and we would have that 1 hour slot that we were allowed to use the computer. We used to be so excited.
Yeah, I think we all had a similar childhood. So that was really Web 1. And what was typical of Web 1 is that if you wanted to create on the internet back then, it was pretty accessible. Anyone could do it, but it was quite complex, right?
Yeah.
You needed to learn how to code. I mean, building a website was not that easy, not as easy as it is today. So that was basically Web 1, accessible to everyone, very open, very decentralized, as we say it. So not a few players, but complex to get in. And so Web 2 was there to solve the problems of Web 1. In Web 2, we said, okay, but a lot of people want to contribute and create on the internet, but not a lot of people know how to code. Yeah. So we need to give them a platform where you don't need to know how to code to participate. And that's where the MySpace were born, the Facebook, the Twitter,
social media
platforms.
What we're doing right now is a part of.
Exactly. That's also YouTube is one of them. I mean, you want to create visual content on the internet, super easy. You have a camera, you have a mic, and then you click on upload and everything's being done. You don't need to code anything. So that was solving the problems of Web 1. But at the same time, it became a very centralized internet. Only a few players, as a matter of fact, still the case today, own a lot of the internet. Like you have Google, you have Meta, and they own most of the data, most of everything that is happening on the internet in the Western world, in the Eastern world, it's other players, but it's very, very centralized. So Web3 came to solve that centralization problem. They were like, okay, yeah, it's great, everyone can create, but what if we could just decentralize and put more power in the hands of the people? So owning your own data, owning your own wallets on the internet where you can store whatever you buy, whatever you purchase. So this is how Web3 was born. But as a matter of fact, we take a look at it from a wider perspective. For me, the third age of the internet is three things. First of all, it's a more immersive internet with the advance of 3D technologies. So metaverse, as we called it, but I mean, the metaverse is only one small thing compared to, gaming and more immersive experiences on the internet. The second thing is more decentralization with blockchain. So with blockchain, you're able to own more of your data. And the third thing is a more exponential internet with the power of artificial intelligence. So what you're able to create and how productive you can be and much faster. So those three things, more immersive, more decentralized, and more exponential, are the definition of the third age of the internet. And that's where we are right now.
But you mentioned something that you want to decentralize it and take the power away from the larger organizations such as Meta and Google. I mean, since they own, like you said, more than half the internet or more than half of the usable part of the internet. Are they going to block this in some way, or will they once again have the first mover advantage and move into the space and become the largest?
The largest in the decentralized internet. No, it's It's an open debate. I mean, the fact that you want to decentralize everything is a bit of a utopia, right? I mean, just like Web 2 was a utopia of Web 1. I mean, we want to simplify and make everything so much better. Social media did a lot of good to us, but also it accelerated very bad things like cyberbullying that didn't exist before, right? So, I mean, every single wave of technology has the utopia, and then there is the plus and the minus sides, right? So. And of course, you can see all of those big players because they've been so successful. You take Microsoft, you take Meta, they have a lot of cash in the bank. They were very smart at seeing where the internet was moving and very active in investing and acquiring some of those companies that made a difference. Like Nike, for example, they bought a company called Artifact that was creating virtual sneakers. And because they were like, wait, if virtual sneakers become big, instead of creating everything from scratch, just acquire this company and make it as part of Nike, right? So Microsoft, they invested $10 billion in OpenAI because they saw, oh, wow, okay, if the internet really becomes more exponential, what's the future of Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel, right? Do we need to build AI from scratch, or we just invest in this company and then... So they were very smart, and they were very smart into moving into this decentralized, more immersive, more exponential internet. So will we reach the utopia of a purely decentralized internet? I don't believe so, personally. But we've made this possible. So there are no platforms, spaces, virtual environments that are completely decentralized and out of the reach of Google, of Meta, where you can buy something, store it, trade it with someone else, which was totally impossible before. So at least we enabled the possibility of it. But it's true that the big players they know what they're doing, and they're putting their money, honestly, most of them in the right place, in my opinion.
And they will once again be the bigger movers, but still it is closer to the idea of having a bit more of decentralized internet.
It's making them, I think honestly, it's making them better because it's also making them innovate and be more open. So they have no choice. So they're moving towards a better internet, hopefully, and a better world.
There was a lot of hype about NFTs last year, and things like sort of died down. We saw all of these big artists buying online art for millions of dollars, and then you had that ape, NFT that was selling for millions, and now all of that has come crashing down. Where do you see this entire NFT movement in the next few years?
Yeah, it's a great question. It certainly was a hype wave. The metaverse was also kind of a bit of a hype. There is definitely intrinsic value in the technology. I mean, the fact that you can decentralize an asset and have the proof that this asset has been created by this person at this time. I mean, it's a stamp that no one can alter. I mean, it has a lot of value. And let me give you a very concrete use case. A lot of luxury brands are starting to put what we call digital IDs inside of their clothes, which is a small QR code. You scan the QR code and you know this garment was fabricated in this country by this company at this time, etc. So that authenticates kind of the garment in itself. Same for watches. I mean, there is a big problem with fake watches in the world. So Breitling, Vacheron Constantin, there were some of the brands that started to include those NFTs and into building use cases to authenticate and therefore, by design, increase the value of their assets in the secondary market, right? So there is intrinsic value in the technology, but the hype happened on something that was very accessible, which is if there is a hype, there's always going to be people that profit from it. And if you realize, wait, I can just build like a digital design, transform it into an NFT, put it on a platform and sell it for $1 million. It was not that easy, but I mean,
it was a basic concept.
It was and they did it, and people did it, and some people made a lot of money, and then afterwards some people lost a lot of money. So where do I think this is going to go? I think NFTs in general are proving use cases that will be used by many, many brands in many industries, the blockchain technology in itself. Will we go back to a hype cycle on digital art? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think
the future.
I own a lot of NFTs personally, and I'm part in a lot of communities that are the entry point is the NFT, and I see the interest is starting to climb back again. So if there is real value behind,
that's
I think it will
interesting.
pick up.
What you mentioned, that you're part of all of these communities where you have to buy a NFT to be a part of that community, and I think the Ape one was
Bored Ape was
one of those where
exactly
you could be a part
that.
of this exclusive club if you own this NFT.
Absolutely.
Which I thought was a very interesting concept. And I think those concepts still could exist in the future.
Of course.
You have to buy this NFT and now you're part of this exclusive club of individuals who are interested in a particular subject, and you can meet up and have social gatherings about that. But selling art for millions of dollars that's created over the internet, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can also argue that physical analog art could be also questioned, right? I mean, you put a piece of art in a museum, some guy passes by and says, "Oh, I'll buy this for $28 million." I mean, you could also be like, I mean, what justifies this?
But I mean, I agree with what you say, but I don't completely agree with it because it took hours and hours of labor work to create it, which also you could argue that it takes hours and hours of laborious work for somebody to create a digital art, but then you can duplicate that.
You can duplicate it, but
you can't duplicate a Picasso painting.
Well, technically, are some people that are very good at doing it.
They're very good at doing that, but still, the original one will always be
for sure
the physical original one.
I hear you, and especially if you want to buy a piece of history, which you're talking Picasso, it's a piece of history, right? I mean, there is no digital art that is a piece of history. Actually, there are a few from the early days of the internet, but that's not that long of history. So I think we give a lot of value to history in itself. But in any way, I think both ends of the spectrum are arguable. I think a lot of people that bought digital art, they're also buying digital art saying, hey, I don't understand why you're putting $1 million into a physical art piece. If your house catches on fire or someone at your party just clashes a glass of champagne, it's gone.
It's gone.
My digital art is never gone. It's on my digital wallet. It's safe. It's coded on the blockchain. I know that I own it. So I think you will find arguments on both ends. And I'm not saying one is right and the other is wrong. I think there is more value to the NFTs in the use case than the art in itself, for sure.
I agree. And I think we'll see in the next few years where this is going to lead us. Coming back to artificial intelligence, AI is this huge concept, that is gaining a lot of traction these days. We've seen some softwares like OpenAI, ChatGPT really transforming certain activities that we used to do. It used to take us a while to write down an article. Now, I just go on my ChatGPT, put down 5 broad keywords of what I want to get, and it spits out something beautifully written. What other areas are you seeing that AI will disrupt the way we work on a day-to-day basis, not just for tech enthusiasts, but for the layman?
Plenty. I think, honestly, what we're living with artificial intelligence right now, I think we can draw a very concrete and real parallel to what happened with computers and the internet in the 90s. And if you think about it, if you actually go back in time a bit, Bill Gates came on TV. I believe it was in '95. I think it was on. I think it was on the David Letterman show. Okay. And I think David Letterman looked at him and said, hey, "Can you please explain this thing? I mean, the internet. What is this? Do we really gonna? Do we need this?" And Bill Gates explains the concept of an email, and people are just laughing, like, I'm never gonna send like a type on a digital thing. I mean, how many emails do we get per day today, right? I think we're kind of at this first phase where some people, and a lot of people actually, are seeing the value in artificial intelligence. I think we have a restricted view of what the potential could actually be. It will be much, much larger in impact, much, much more thing than just ChatGPT and helping us write an email or helping us write an article. But I think there is also a misunderstanding of what artificial intelligence actually is, right? So I think let's maybe even start there. There was a smart man that once said, everything that we don't understand, we call artificial intelligence. Everything we do understand, we call software. So okay. At the end of the day, I mean, artificial intelligence can be made into a software, and some software are powered by artificial intelligence. So it's just another definition. But there are plenty of different types of artificial intelligence. The most basic type is something that we've had for years, which is called predictive analytics. A lot of like the weather is using AI to predict what the weather is actually going to be. Look at past data, you have a model, you predict what the future will be. So that's kind of the most basic type. The second type are chatbots, very simple chatbots. You see them on a lot of websites. It's kind of automated conversation. They've been trained to respond to what you're saying. The third type is the type that everyone is talking about, which is generative AI. Generative AI is about the creation of new assets. So you give them a prompt, a sentence, and it creates a text, an image, and sometimes it's wonderful. Sometimes it's a bit like, really? You're not really sure about what it comes out, but it's creating new things.
So the learning potential of that generative AI is exponentially massive.
Exponential and
scary.
Scary exponential.
To a certain level.
We can definitely talk about that, but I think so. If you take OpenAI, for example, ChatGPT, they ran an IQ test on GPT 3.5, which was the first GPT that was launched in November last year, and it scored 83 compared to the human IQ. The average human IQ is 100. Yeah. So 83, you're like, okay, you're going to be able to answer basic questions, but we don't expect much from you, right? Yeah. A year and a half later, when they released ChatGPT 4, so what we have right now, they ran the same test and they got more than 160. Wow. So 160 is around the smartest human beings on the planet. So you're literally becoming one of the top 1% intelligence on Earth. Yeah. Can you imagine the jump, the doubling between GPT-3 and GPT-4 and what it enabled? And now the scary question, because you said it's scary, is what is GPT-5 going to be about?
Yeah, are we not going to need human beings anymore?
And that's one of the questions.
Are we losing our jobs soon?
No, but I mean, imagine, for example, if it doubles or triples again. I mean, first of all, how do we measure an IQ of 300? We have no ways to measure an IQ of 300. We have never seen that ever. But imagine if that it's kind of Einstein that talks to a chicken, and we are the chicken. And
exactly.
The question could even be, will the artificial intelligence even be interested in talking to us because we're so stupid, right? And that's what some people are scared about. It's like, guys, be careful. I mean, don't improve the models too much, because where are we gonna get, right?
This is where the
scary part
comes in. Like, I mean, are we losing our jobs? Is this Terminator gonna actually happen in the real world? I mean, once these technologies get so smart, and then we are having all of these companies developing robots that would be like human-like, and then I saw a few of these posts online where a generative AI used Obama's picture, and then Obama was giving a speech in his voice, and I'm just like, what the hell is it? He has these views?
Yeah.
I'm no more a Democrat, I'm a Republican from today onwards because I don't like his views. I mean, that is a scary part of AI. I mean, what do you trust on the internet now?
No, so the trust on the internet, it's funny because then we go back to the NFT and the blockchain, because actually the blockchain can make you enable or validate if something is real and was created by that person or not. So that's one thing that can be solved by that technology. I think coming back to what you said on the impact of jobs, first of all, it's funny because we went into history and we found up until the 1920s, that's more than 100 years ago, newspapers that said automation, is going to destroy jobs.
Yeah.
It's the end of it all. I mean, everybody's going to be unemployed. And every single decade with a new technology that was coming, in the 1920s was the production of cars.
Yeah.
Ford, I mean, basically that was just producing cars in a factory.
Yeah.
Every single decade, we say the same thing and we ask ourselves the same question. So it's only natural that right now we have a new technology and we're like, everybody's going to lose their job, right? The reality is, I think in the short term at least, it's not team human versus team robots. I think there is more of a convergence that we would like to admit. I mean, people think there is a divergence, the humans against the machines. But as a matter of fact, yes, the machines are becoming more human. They have more empathy than before. They have creativity, which they didn't have before.
I mean, these are words that we never used to define
machines. Absolutely.
Creativity,
empathy.
I mean, these are very human-like features.
Absolutely. And so, yes, the machines are becoming more human, but we are also human becoming closer to the machines. I mean, take a look at how
We're
can you
our devices.
Yeah, your device, your smartphone. I mean, honestly, if you leave home without your smartphone, you will drive around. You will go get it. You cannot do anything about it.
I mean, can't operate.
People go to the restroom with their smartphones. I mean, this is how dependent we are to the machines.
Our work is on our smartphone.
Absolutely. And I'm always saying, our sons or our kids are young, but I'm 100% certain that our kids will make fun of us because we're walking around with like this big screen, big smartphone that it's cumbersome. It takes space in your pocket. You need to charge it twice a year.
Eyelids or something. I don't know.
It will be
with these Google glasses.
More integrated with the Google glasses that they've been working on for. Apple is working on it. Maybe that's not even the solution, but the point is we humans are getting. There is a convergence between humans and machines. Elon Musk is working on Neuralink. They're testing on brain chips to improve.
That was very
abilities.
interesting. The Neuralink. The first time I saw Neuralink, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
A coin size, shaving a part of your skull, putting a chip inside your head,
Absolutely.
Though it does sound a bit scary.
It does.
There's a big question about, are they going to control us? With a touch of a button, Elon Musk is going to control whoever the hell is holding this Neuralink.
For sure, but that question of control has always been there. Social media was the same thing. The people that were against social media in the beginning is like, guys, don't put your data. I mean, they understood what was happening. It's like, don't put your data. They're going to own it. They're going to. So there is always kind of a naysayers that say, okay, don't
whenever
go
a new
for
technology comes about.
So coming back to the question of jobs, I don't think that in the short term AI will replace jobs, but I 100% believe that humans that are using AI will replace humans that are not using AI. Because it has so much impact on your productivity, on the way, on what you can achieve, on what you can create. It's a second brain. Honestly, it's a second brain that is available 24/7 to you. And if you're not using it, you're missing out on a massive opportunity to do your job better in general. So I think that's going to be the big impact.
Wow. And besides AI, in terms of Web 3.0, coming back to the concept of how can businesses bring in or integrate their business, because a lot of people first don't understand the concept of Web 3.0.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, a lot of business owners, like ourselves, we're into real estate, as you know. How can we implement these technologies into our business? I mean, we're watching ChatGPT come. We're seeing Neuralink. We're seeing all of these new developments within artificial intelligence and Web 3.0. But how can a regular businessman integrate these technologies into his everyday business?
Yeah. I think, first of all, I don't believe that companies or businesses should have a technology-first approach. I mean, implementing technology for the sake of implementing technology never really works. I think
a few companies actually did that.
A
few real estate companies that just wanted to throw those buzzwords out there that we are using artificial intelligence in order to, improve your experience of buying a home. And I'm like, okay, but what are they doing?
Yeah, what are they doing? What's the impact?
Yeah, what's the impact? What are you guys doing? And then I really dived into the subject of what those companies were doing, and I realized it wasn't much. It was just them using or taking advantage of the new buzzwords in order to make some news headlines.
PR stunts.
But I mean, I want to understand from you, because Imagine Studios actually helps businesses implement strategies to take over the new digital innovation. Yeah, right? Absolutely. So how are you helping companies do that? I want to understand.
So we focus on where I believe every single service company should focus is with what are the problems that we can solve.
Okay.
And if you take a look at a lot of, in marketing, we used to say, I went to business school, we had marketing classes. One of the first things that we say is that you need to be where your customer is.
Yeah.
I believe that for me, in 99% of the cases, that's job done. Every single company in the Western world here in Dubai, we are where the customer is. You need something, it will be at a touch of a button, which created a new problem, which is you're fighting for the share of attention of customers, right? I mean, every single day you're fighting with your competitors, or am I going to get a share of attention of my customers? Yeah. And if you want to solve that problem of share attention, you need to call what we say, you need to create magic. And there are three ways that you can create magic. It's better experience, building communities, and having better loyalty. So that's what we call the magic triangle of experience, community, and loyalty. And it so happens that Web3 technologies, blockchain technologies, artificial intelligence can help you build better experiences, build stronger communities, and build better loyalty. So this is where we need to start from. And usually when we get in, we don't get in with the sense of like, we're going to implement AI. We're like, okay, what's your problem? What are you trying to solve? We have a lot of clients at the moment that are telling us it's very difficult to penetrate the Saudi Arabian market. Very difficult. I mean, we're not going to just put billboards on the street and say, we exist, please come and buy us. So a lot of them are looking at, okay, can we build a community around a topic and we activate this community, we engage with this community, and therefore we create a client base that we can engage with and create things with and sell our products and services. And they go with a community approach that is powered by blockchain, digital collectibles, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the first step, is how to create magic. And then if you want to create more magic, you also need to upgrade your organization, make your organization better. And this is where you work on the 3P, which are people, process, and platforms. And artificial intelligence can help you really enhance how people work, what are the processes that they use, and how can they accelerate those processes, and what are the new platforms that you need to use and you need to integrate within the business. So there is the magic triangle, we want to create magic, and there is the power triangle in how you need to upgrade your organization. And this is what we focus on with our clients.
Very interesting concept that you just mentioned, the experiences. Because we have, I personally use social media quite a bit, YouTube and Instagram. And at the end of the day, if you just break it down, it's all about, like you mentioned earlier, that all the companies are on all of these platforms where their customers are. But now it's a battle for the amount of attention you can grab of your competitors, and build that community, if it's on social media or if it's on any other platform, and how you can build their loyalty. And then, of course, that will result in actually, having paying customers.
Yeah.
It's interesting how you break it down into that, concept. But dive a little bit deeper into the power triangle, because I know you speak about it in your book, right?
Yeah, they're actually, 50% of the book is the magic triangle and the power triangle. Yeah. The rest is setting the scene and then closing up with some stuff. But
give us or share with us an interesting example of a successful business that has implemented, your concepts, and which has caused them massive success.
Yeah, sure. We are working with a luxury company.
Okay.
And they need to create a lot of content, and creating content, as you know, takes a lot of time.
Of course.
So by using some of the generative AI tools, they're able to considerably accelerate the creation of content, the translation of content. We live in the GCC. There are several languages. We have a lot of different nationalities. It used to be extremely painful to have a video or a picture being translated, or the images, the copy being translated. All of this is instantaneous with a lot of AI, even on video. They can translate right away. I don't know if you saw, but Spotify has announced on podcast that you would be soon able to put your podcast to all of the countries in the world, and it will be instantly translated in their languages. So, those tools are enabling this. Yeah. And so you can considerably accelerate your content creation. You can potentially decrease the need for external agencies to help you create content, or the external agencies can work better and therefore cheaper. So you can reduce your costs significantly. I think the importance of the power triangle of people, process, and platform is that it's not just working about changing the processes and disregarding the two others. The three elements are extremely important.
They work together.
And they work together. They work together. If you say tomorrow, for example, to your team, everyone use OpenAI and ChatGPT to do this, and that, but you don't create a process for it, they're not going to do it. And if you don't train the people and explain them the why, they're never going to make that happen. So the three come together. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of organizations do, is that they say, from no one, everybody does this. But you need to take the people with you. You need to help them actually understand the why and how they should actually do it. So the three really come hand in hand. But what we say is that you need to take a look at your internal processes and see where are the friction points. I mean, where is it blocking? Where is it taking you time? Where is it taking you a lot of money to achieve something? And how can you make that process either cheaper, faster, or richer? So just better. And that's generally the starting point, the internal problem. And then we say, okay, we find how we can resolve it.
Interesting, man. Jeremy, coming back to our industry, which is real estate, because I know a lot of people watching this podcast are people that are interested in real estate or are a part of the real estate industry.
Yeah.
Tell us, how can we as a real estate company, what places do you see the metaverse coming into the market? I mean, I know some developers were building, tools where they could show the property in a 3D style using the help of metaverse. But have you really seen any real estate companies taking advantage or truly taking advantage of the latest new technologies?
Yeah, there are some. It's true that the real estate market, especially in Dubai, works. Yeah. And so I think the first industries that are moving into adopting new technologies are the industries that don't work and that need to be optimized and doing things better. If everything is going well with your business, you have a small incentive to do things significantly better and to make big changes. So it's true that it's not the first industry where we see the massive changes. But if you come back to the magic triangle of experience, community, loyalty, I think in terms of building experiences, building more immersive 3D technologies can considerably improve the experience of buying. Or if you take the example of buying an apartment or a house off plan, I mean, you don't know how it's going to look like. I mean, you have the pictures, the rendering, everything looks perfect. But would that make, if it's a property that costs a significant amount of money, we talked with one of the developers actually to get delivered to your current house a box with a 3D headset that you're able to wear and that puts you inside the house that you just bought and start to furnish it into different styles and just improve the experience of purchasing with that developer. Because yes, okay, the purchase is already done, so it's not something that you're going to do to solve and have more purchase, but the word of mouth of saying, hey man, I've purchased a property with those guys and it's just been amazing, man. And you want to see my new house, it's coming. You want to try. And if you take a look at the cost of that, that's what the cost, probably $2,000 per house. I mean, $2,000 on $1 million home, it's peanuts, right? Yeah. But it considerably improved the experience side with more immersive technologies and 3D technologies.
I think if developers implement these technologies, I mean, right now for example, just today, we had a launch by Emar, launching a new project, which is on the beach, beautiful property, but I had a few clients asking me but what is going to be the view actually like?
Yeah.
Because we know that there's other buildings coming around from this particular unit. Am I going to have another building blocking my view, or is this unit going to have... And I was like, you know what? I wish these developers could create some sort of tool where, you could walk into the actual apartment, know the height. Yeah. I mean, if you're on the 30th floor, how does the view change as compared to the 50th floor?
Exactly.
Yeah. As compared to the 5th floor. Using the Web 3.0 or having an immersive technology would make our job so much easier.
Exactly.
And even for developers, I think the developers need to start working on these new technologies.
Yeah. And we know that some of them are. Yeah. For sure.
We haven't seen anything like wow.
No, nothing.
I think it's still in the infancy stages.
The closest thing that came here, especially here, is there is one developer that started working on mapping the city in 3D to just show, but it was more for international investors that don't really know Dubai and they want to buy an apartment in that property and they're like, where is it? It's like, I'm looking at Google Maps, but I kind of want to see, am I in a low-rise neighborhood, high-rise neighborhood, close to, and then you can start walk around, which is also cool. It improves the experience for the
Google Maps does that to a certain level
anyways. It does it, but maybe it's a bit, what they built is a bit more immersive, and then you can start seeing properties. But I think, again, we need to think, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? I think if you go, so that's experience in the magic triangle. If you go to community, a lot of those developers are actually actively trying to build communities, right? The communities have a name, they have a feel. They're trying to. So we're in talks also with other developers to see, okay, how can we build a blockchain-powered or Web3-powered community that is extremely engaging, that forces, or not forces, but engaged and push people to actually act more and do more within their community, to contribute, to participate in activities. So this also could be something that you can leverage new technologies to actually build. So you kind of need to look at what are the friction points, what are the problems, and where can you actually create magic. But I think for real estate experience for me, I just bought a house. And man,
Congratulations.
thank you. But I have to say the experience it was horrible. I mean, honestly, the entire experience
Thank God you didn't buy it from us.
No, I did not. And probably I should. I bought secondary market directly from the buyer, but the entire experience of the admin, of you don't know what you're gonna get, and then until you're in the house, you're like, okay, what are the big surprises that are gonna hit me now? I mean, for sure, there are things in the purchasing that can be improved in terms of the experience, for sure.
I mean, I think, like you correctly said, I think we're still at this startup stage of this technology being used. And I think the future looks very interesting. And I'm actually excited as a real estate professional to see how all of these technologies will be implemented to make our jobs easier. Just so I think the future things will get, easier to do. But of course, competition on how to use those technologies, will also be what will give certain people that competitive edge. And I think the first movers advantage will always stay. So people that do adopt these technologies will be miles ahead as compared to their competition in the coming few years.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's what we always say. I mean, the best way to get into AI and new tech is read a bit about it. Yeah. I mean, just learn to know what it is instead of having like ideas or preconceived idea of what it actually is. And especially for AI, the reason why it picked up so fast is because it's seamlessly accessible. I mean, honestly, you just need a computer and a browser. I mean, you can even do it on your mobile and you can go on ChatGPT. I mean, the free version is okay, but I mean, even for $20 a month, you get access to the whole thing, right? So why not? I mean, just go have a chat with ChatGPT. Honestly, I mean, just like understand what it does, what it works, and then you will start seeing. You will talk to people about it, and you will start seeing, those are the use cases. This is what I can improve. This is what I can do better, and that will just make you a better worker, more productive.
More productive. It'll cut down the time that you're spending on a task. You'll do more tasks. And it was very interesting what you touched upon earlier as well, that as a business owner, if you really want to implement these technologies, just read a little bit about it and identify the problems you have in your business to see how you could then improve them. Jeremy, I even want to touch upon, before we conclude our session today, what advice would you give to those budding new entrepreneurs who are coming into the startup scene and how they can implement the use of Web 3.0 and AI to become more successful?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it has never been as easy as it is today to create a business. It's just a fact. I mean, honestly, we have all of the tools that are at the touch of a hand. There are even websites. I mean, there is an AI for that.com that you just go there, and there is like a search bar just like Google, and you say, I want to do this, and they will give you all the tools that enable you to do that, right? So I think if you are creating a business today, doesn't matter the sector, doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you need a website. Don't build that freaking website yourself. I mean, use an AI. Yeah. I built a website on Durable, literally take 15 minutes, and it's really, really good, right? So there are plenty of tools, artificial intelligence powered tools that can enable you to create and put your business on their 2 feet. And therefore giving you more time to think about the strategy, about the business model, about all of the elements that make you a great founder or a great CEO, right? So if you're not using those tools, clearly you're missing out. And the companies, the startups that are being created today and that are accelerating their development, using those tools will have a significant advantage. We can also see it in the companies that raise fund with VCs. It has now become almost a standard that some part of your business needs to be accelerated by new technologies. I mean, it would just be like if you're in the 90s and you go to a presentation and you say, our entire business will be on pen and paper. The investor will be like, bro, I mean, last week, computer, internet, I mean, stuff that will accelerate business. Where is it, right? Yeah. It's a bit, we're seeing that right now in the VC scene. So that's one thing. And the second thing is an advice that I would give that is valid to any single startup founder is that please focus on trying to solve problems. I mean, that's really, I mean, and the share of attention problem in the B2C, even in the B2B world, but that is one real problem that you can start solving is how can I help create magic in helping businesses create better experience or consumers having better experiences, community, loyalty. Those are the problems that you can actually solve. And if you're focused not on an idea, but on trying to solve a problem, and you're empowering your activity with those new tools that are being put at our disposal, you have much more chances at being successful as a startup entrepreneur.
I mean, that's very good words of advice for all of those young entrepreneurs that are, looking at this podcast, hopefully, and learning from you. You are definitely one of the smartest guys in this space, and I wish you great luck in with Imagine Studio. And guys, make sure to check out the book, The Virtual Economy. With that, I'd like to thank you, Jeremy, for your time.
Thank you.
Loved the conversation we had. And guys, make sure to ask in the comment section if you have any questions that we could go back and ask Jeremy about. But thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great chatting with you.
Same here, man.